Hi there, and welcome back to Softbound. You can live in a house for years and still not know who or what has shared it with you. Let's get started.
The house was old enough to have settled into its own peculiar silences. It was late, or maybe early, that time of night when the world outside holds its breath. Inside, the only light came from the street lamp. It cast long dancing shadows through the living room window. She sat on the sofa, just thinking, or maybe drifting, the kind of quiet that almost hums. It was then a shift. The shadows in the hallway, they seemed to deepen, to coalesce, a human shape, tall, indistinct, standing just beyond the archway. There was no sound, just this presence. It wasn't menacing. Sarah lived in a new build, one of those estates where all the houses look vaguely similar. Hers was neat, tidy. Not the kind of place you'd expect to find a ghost, if you believe in that sort of thing. And Sarah didn't, not really. She'd always been practical, down to earth, until that Tuesday, a Tuesday just like any other. She was making tea in her kitchen. The late afternoon sun streamed through the window. Dust motes danced in the light. She turned from the counter, mug in hand, and there he was, a man standing by the kitchen table. He was older, dressed in clothes that seemed out of time. Not old-fashioned exactly, just not current. Mark's apartment was small, a studio, cozy, he called it. He'd lived there for 5 years, knew every creak of the floorboards, every rattle of the old radiator. He was reading in bed one evening, a Thursday. Around 10 p.m, the only light came from his bedside lamp. The city hummed outside, a familiar lullaby. He was comfortable, relaxed. Then he felt it, that subtle shift, the feeling of not being alone. He looked up from his book, slowly, standing in the shadowed space of his open bedroom doorway. A figure. It was a man, or the shape of a man. Jess was 7. A quiet, observant child. She lived with her parents in a rambling old farmhouse, the kind with lots of nooks and crannies. Her grandfather had passed away a year before. She missed him. He used to sit in the big armchair by the fireplace. He'd read stories to her, his voice a low rumble. Jess was playing in the living room. It was a sunny afternoon. Light streamed through the windows. Her parents were in the kitchen. She could hear them talking. She looked up from her toys towards the fireplace, and there he was, her grandfather, sitting in his armchair. He was wearing his favorite cardigan, the brown one with the leather elbow patches. He looked exactly as she remembered him, solid. Section 5 echoes in the everyday brief encounters, lasting questions. These stories, they're more common than you might think, little ripples in the fabric of everyday life. Take Maria. She was rushing to get ready for work. Her apartment, usually a hive of morning activity. She glanced into her spare bedroom, just a fleeting look as she passed the open door, and saw a woman sitting on the edge of the bed, an older woman with her back to Maria. She had grey hair tied in a bun. Maria stopped, blinked, looked again. The room was empty, or David, walking down his own hallway late one night. He saw a dark shape, human-like, just at the periphery of his vision. When he turned to look directly, it was gone. Section 6, the weight of witness. More than just a sighting. When you see something like this, something you can't explain, it changes you, just a little. Or maybe a lot. It's not about being scared. Though, for some, there's an initial shock, a moment of fear. But it's more about the shift in perception. The world, which seemed so solid, so predictable, suddenly has a new dimension, a hidden layer, one you've now glimpsed. It makes you wonder, what else is out there? What else do we not see? For many, these encounters feel significant, deeply personal, even if the figure is a complete stranger. There's a sense of being chosen, singled out. Why me? Section 7, a silent network. How many of us have seen them? You start to wonder. If these things are happening to you, to Sarah, to Mark, to Jess, how many other people are out there, walking around, living their lives, with a similar story tucked away, a quiet encounter they can't quite explain or forget? Are we part of a silent network, a group of unwilling witnesses to the unexplained, people who've had a brief, strange glimpse behind the curtain of everyday reality? It seems plausible. Most people don't talk about it. There's a fear. Not of the figure they saw, but of ridicule, of being dismissed, labeled as crazy or imaginative, or just plain mistaken, so they keep it to themselves. A private puzzle. Section 8. The Unspoken Legacy, Living with the Unexplained. So what's the takeaway from these fleeting glimpses, these quiet mysteries? There's no grand conclusion, no neat explanation. That's the point. Perhaps these experiences, they don't offer answers. They only deepen the questions. They remind us that the world is a strange place, stranger than we often like to admit, and that some things may always remain just beyond our grasp, our understanding, our ability to categorize and file away. The people who see these things, they carry that knowledge. It's like a tiny, indelible mark on their psyche, a constant, low hum beneath the surface of their daily lives. It doesn't usually disrupt their ability to function, to live, to work, to love. Life goes on.
Thank you for watching Softbound. If you've had any of them experiences, put it in the comment section. I love to hear. If you want to know if I've had any of them experiences, ask, and I will tell you I have had a few. Again, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.